Hey, yo. Alright, this is going to be my last little video, part 3 of how I drive for dollars. And this one's going to be how I'm able to identify buyers in my market um, by using that same process that I use to identify physically, distressed properties in my market. So what I'm going to do is just imagine that I have my list already written out by hand of all these properties that I've identified, right? And I'm searching them and I pull it up and I click on the details to determine whether or not this is going to be a property that I actually want to skip trace and I actually want to call the owner of. Because again, personally, I have a limited marketing budget, so I want to make sure that I'm not wasting money skip tracing properties that have already been purchased, already been flipped, and I need to do that because I'm doing it virtually. And the image capture date again, these aren't up-to-date pictures, right? This picture wasn't taken yesterday. It was taken almost 2 years ago. So I need to take that extra step to determine whether or not I'm going to be wasting money skip tracing a property that has already been purchased, already been flipped, already been sold to a retail end buyer, and all that good stuff. So I pull it up, right? And this is a perfect example. So you can see length of ownership, 7 months. So this isn't the property that I'm looking at here, but this is an example of one that I already knew. So a couple things that you can see. One, the owner type, corporate. So it's not an individual that purchased it. It's not in any trust or state, anything like that. It's corporate. So it's a company that owns this property. It's non-owner occupied. So kind of just goes hand in hand, right? A company owns it, and whoever owns the company doesn't live in the property. And the length of ownership is 7 months. So again, this isn't the property that I'm looking at, but I know for pretty much certain that none of the pictures in my market were taken within the last 7 months. So again, what that shows me is that the image was taken and then somebody came in and bought the property and they purchased it cash. So this is a cash buyer pretty much, because I was able to determine that this was a property that showed distress, so I wrote it down. But then when I went to go search it and cross-reference in PropStream, I can then see, wait, this property was already purchased by a cash buyer. So I'm not wanting to skip trace it and call the property owner to see if they want to, sell their property because they may be in the middle of a flip, right? Or they may have, again, the means to renovate the property and they don't need my help. So what I'm going to do, and then I can see here, investment group LLC. So an LLC owns it. Then the last kind of piece of information that I want to see is linked properties. So I come into linked properties and boom, they own 55 properties. So this isn't somebody that needs my help. This isn't somebody that's going to want to cash offer on their property. They're investors themselves. So then you can come down and see, you know, all of these again. They have different owner names, but PropStream has identified to some capacity that uh, all of these properties are linked somehow. And you can see the ownership length on all of these properties. They're actively buying, right? 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 1 year, 2 years, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 2 months ago, 5 months ago, they bought these properties. So they're actively buying 3 months, 3 months. So what does that mean for me? One, I'm not gonna again skip trace and call this property owner because they're not gonna want a cash offer. But two, this is a buyer, right? Because this is a street that I drove down that I'm actively farming the area for leads, and this is a buyer who's actively buying in that area. So what I do is I keep a running look. 1 month ago they bought this property. So what I'm doing is keeping a Google sheet of my driving for dollar cash buyers. So what then I'll do is when I come across a property like this and I make the decision, you know what, I'm not going to add this, I'm not going to save it here and add it to my list. What I'm going to do instead is add it to my cash buyer list, right? So then I can come in here. What I'm going to do is get the name, copy and paste it, get the address, copy and paste it. I like to see how many linked properties PropStream has, which is 55. And then any miscellaneous notes that I see. So some stuff that I'll put down is like Different company names listed, actively buying uh, as recent as 1 month ago. Um, and I like to look at the county, do they buy all over, or are they kind of within one county? It looks like they own a majority of their properties here in Harris County, so I'll say that. Majority of props in Harris County. Boom, and I'll kind of just leave it at that. Sometimes I won't even put notes if there's really nothing that I can put my finger on. But that's a perfect example. And then what I'll do is once this is built out, and I'll kind of keep it to one area so you can see I have like a running list of different areas, so that when I land an agreement or a contract in one of these areas, I already have a list of hundreds of, and they come up more frequently than you would think. I'm not gonna kind of expose my buyers right now, but in these markets, I have a few hundred on each list here. And when I get a contract in this area, what I can do is just import this list that I'm keeping right here again into batch, skip trace the list, and now I have a list of cash buyers with their numbers that I can reach out to see if they want to buy the property that I have under contract. Now I have the listing agents tab here as well, and I do that because sometimes you may come across a property like this, but the investor, the cash buyer, has already flipped it, right? So let's say this was 9 months, a couple more months have passed, and now they're actually done with their project. So I would assume that this property right here, they're in the middle of their renovation project because they still own it. It's distressed based off what I've been able to identify on Google Maps. So they may be in the middle of the project, or they're a buy and hold investor. But for a fix and flipper, they're going to be in and out in a matter of months, right? So you may come across property that says 1 month, purchase method financed, owner occupied, individual owner type. What that means is a retail end buyer just purchased the property to move into for their primary residence. And then what you could do is cross-reference Zillow, and if that was the case, then on Zillow you'll be able to see recent listings, renovation pictures, to be able to then confirm, okay, yes, this was a property that was fixed and flipped, and I can see that it was listed on market for top dollar and a retail buyer purchased it. Then what I want to do, and what would show here is another tab would show MLS details. You can click on that one and it will give you all of the information about the listing. It will tell you the agent's name, the brokerage that they work under, their phone number, their email, what the property sold for, how long it was listed on the market, all that good stuff. And what I want to do is then keep a running list of the listing agents in the area as well, because these are agents that work with fix and flippers, so they likely have a strong relationship with that one specific fix and flipper, but maybe even other fix and flippers in the area, so that when again I get a contract in that area, I can reach out to these agents and say, hey, I saw that you represented an investor on this fix and flip project at this address that sold last month. Is your investor or is your buyer looking for another flip? I have a contract on this street that I'm looking to assign my interests in. Would you mind passing this along to your buyer to see if he or she may be interested? So just kind of another avenue that you can get your foot in the door. And that in that case, not only are you building a relationship with a buyer, but you're building a relationship with an agent. And I think I made another video on agent relationships, but those are, I'm finding, priceless, because it's a synonymous relationship where, I mean, not synonymous, but symbiotic, I think is the proper term there. But, you guys can work in tandem back and forth, and it seems like the opportunities are endless of what agents can do for wholesalers and vice versa, right? Somebody who wants to list their property and the agent goes out on an appointment and realizes like this isn't in good enough condition. This has to go to a cash buyer. They can bring those leads to you, and vice versa. When I cold call all these people and they tell me, well, no, we actually just finished renovating the whole place. We're gonna sell it on market. I ask, hey, do you have a realtor that you're looking to work with? And they say no, then I can go ahead and provide that retail lead to my agent that I work specifically with exclusively. And if they do end up, listing that property on market and selling it for a commission, they can go ahead and kick me back something for a referral fee. And that's just one of the many ways that the relationship between wholesalers and agents can pan out. So hopefully that made sense. Just wanted to kind of finish it out and let you know how I am building out my cash buyers list for free, essentially. Again, the only thing that would cost money in this is PropStream, but I'm grateful and lucky enough to have won a free subscription to it. So this whole process for me is free. The only thing that ends up costing money in the long run is skip tracing. So let me know if you have any questions on that one.